I figured I had the opportunity was there. It's a lot.
It is.
Of course.
I understand. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the special meeting of the Liquor Control Commission for Monday, July 18th, 2022. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a few moments. We've had kind of a tumultuous past few weeks. A lot of unnecessary deaths in our immediate vicinity. Thank you. Be seated. Just quickly before we get into the meat of the matter for the evening, there's really, I don't believe there's any one solution to what's been going on in our community and in our country. And I really believe it's everybody's responsibility to take a look around at our friends and make sure everybody's doing okay periodically. Check in on them, say hi, how are you? Is everything okay? Laws can only go so far, and the rest of it's kind of up to everybody. So, enough on that. Clerk Brady, roll call, please.
Commissioner Vogel?
Here.
Commissioner Papantos?
Present.
Commissioner Vito?
Here.
Commissioner Lang?
Here.
Commissioner Kruger?
Present.
Commissioner Rufato?
Here.
Chairperson Horker?
Here, you have before you the minutes of the special meeting of the Liquor Control Commission for June 20th, 2022. I need a motion for their approval.
So moved.
Commissioner Papantos, second. Commissioner Rufato. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Vogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Papantos?
Yes.
Commissioner Vito?
Yes.
Commissioner Lang?
Abstain.
Commissioner Kruger?
Yes.
Commissioner Rufato?
Yes.
Chairperson Horker?
Yes. New business, A, 6A. Oh, I'm sorry.
No citizens and no,
Yes.
none today. 6A, consideration for a request for a Class B liquor license from AMG Restaurant Group, LLC, doing business as Rise and Dine, an existing restaurant at 102 South Milwaukee Avenue.
Mr. Svandelis.
Thank you. As the title indicates, this is a Class B request. Class B is a license allowing the retail sale of alcoholic liquor in sit-down restaurants for consumption on the premises for Rise and Dine. This is officially their first liquor license under the Rise and Dine name. There was some previous discussion several years ago, but this will be the first formal approval for that restaurant. If the commission is willing to consider, I would ask that any approval be conditioned upon, first, the passage of an ordinance by the Board of Trustees authorizing the creation of a new Class B liquor license.
Can you tell her to do that, please? The meeting has begun.
The village meeting or the liquor commission?
It's all one. It's all.
No, President Horker, she can sign up for the regular
Okay.
meeting.
Yes,
Okay,
regular meeting.
I
Give it
didn't-
to her.
Can you just...
Thank you.
Thanks. First, the passage of an ordinance by the Board of Trustees authorizing the creation of a new Class B liquor license. Second, the submittal of Bassett certificates for all applicable individuals. And finally, a satisfactory background check result.
Questions or comments from the board? Left. Right.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion, Commissioner Vogel, second, Commissioner Lang, and that would, of course, be contingent on the conditions as outlined?
Correct.
Thank you. Clerk Brady, roll call, please.
Commissioner Kruger?
Yes.
Commissioner Rufato?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Papantos?
Yes.
Commissioner Vito?
Yes.
Commissioner Lang?
Yes.
Chairperson Horker?
Yes, that concludes the regular business for the Liquor Commission for the evening. I need a motion to adjourn from the Liquor Commission.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Rufato, second, Commissioner Kruger. All in favor?
Aye.
Liquor Commission is adjourned. I would like to call to order the regular meeting of the Village of Wheeling for July 18th, 2022. Clerk Brady, roll call, please.
Trustee Vogel?
Present.
Trustee Papantos?
Present.
Trustee Vito?
Here.
Trustee Lang?
Here.
Trustee Kruger?
Present.
Trustee Rufato?
Here.
President Horker?
Here, you have before you the minutes of the regular meeting of June 20th, 2022. I need a motion for their approval.
So moved. Second.
Motion, Trustee Papantos, second, Trustee Kruger. Roll call, please.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Abstain.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes. Any changes to the agenda?
There are no changes this evening.
Brings us to proclamations and congratulatory resolutions. Clerk Brady.
Village of Wheeling Proclamation in recognition of Richard Rich Sedlacek. Whereas Rich is a long-term team member of the Department of Public Works and began his career in the village on January 29, 1998, and whereas during his career with the Village of Wheeling, Rich began his service in the Building Maintenance Division. Before working most of his career with the village sewer system in the Utility Division, and whereas Rich was known as an expert at maintaining sewer lift stations throughout Wheeling and a meticulous snow plow operator who would put in extra efforts to ensure the work was completed correctly, and whereas Rich would always ask how his co-workers' families were doing and sometimes buy lunch for his whole crew, reflecting a genuine compassion for those with whom he worked, and whereas Rich Sedlacek retired on July 8th, 2022, celebrating over 24 years of service to the Village of Wheeling, and whereas it is with our great honor that the Village of Wheeling recognize Rich Sedlacek, utility maintenance operator, for his long and distinguished career in the Department of Public Works, and whereas the Village of Wheeling and Department of Public Works expresses their genuine and sincere gratitude for Rich Sedlacek's efforts for the village. Patrick Horker, President of the Village of Wheeling, do hereby proclaim Tuesday, July 19th, 2022 as Rich Sedlacek's Day in the Village of Wheeling. We are most grateful for the many contributions Rich has made during his 24 years in public service, and extend our best wishes for many years of enjoyment with his grandchildren in Colorado and working on his hot rod car collection during his retirement.
Dan, you know Rich better than I do. It's silly for me to present him with this.
Thank you. Rich has been here for almost a quarter century, and it's a long time. It's long enough for him to become familiar with every nook and cranny of our storm sewer and our sanitary sewer system. Rich was the guy to call on to help with the lift stations. A quarter century is long enough for him to become familiar with the entire staff and to become the guy that he called on to help with our programs and our policies of maintaining our sewer system. It was long enough for you to become a mentor for our newer employees, and having some of those people come and tell me what it meant to be able to work and learn from you. A quarter century is long enough for you to help onboard me. I've been here for 18 months, and I was always appreciative of you coming up and telling me what the score is, and not being afraid to level with me. You're a straight shooter who always had the best interest of the village in mind, the residents. It was clear in the manner in which you provided the service. Wheeling now is a better place because of your service here. Wheeling will be less of a place when you go, and I'm going to miss you. I appreciate everything you've done personally. The Village of Wheeling appreciates everything that you've done. You've really left a big hole in the organization. So congratulations on your retirement, and best of luck make the comment, but his wife Deanne is here to support him as well. So we're going to adjourn for a few minutes and have some.
I'll make that
Cupcakes.
I would like a motion to recess for 5 minutes for coffee and such.
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Kruger, second trustee Papantos. Recess, all in favor?
Aye.
Recess.
This Wednesday.
Did, today.
He did?
He just asked me if my son is there.
I know.
No.
Because I've been the youngest.
Received? Put out.
We had a party for my mom on Friday
36
in our garage.
What are we still missing,
Get my
two?
sisters. Because all that rain, there's
Does anybody know where Trustee Vito is?
Oh, Vito.
Yeah, I remember the.
Vito and Trustee Rafato.
And so they're not,
Trustee Vito?
Trustee Rafato.
Trustee Rafato? If you would report to chambers, your presence is requested.
I wonder if you can hear out there. Can you
I
hear?
don't know, but it'll be funny on camera.
it's right by Loyola. It's a beautiful location. No, right by Loyola. Down to the fist fight.
We could start without him, can't we? I got a quorum.
So it's right
Quorum.
there.
I need a motion to reconvene into regular session.
So moved.
Trustee Kruger, second.
Second.
Trustee Papantos. Roll call, please.
Trustee Vogel,
Here.
Trustee Papantos,
Yes.
Trustee
Yes.
Vito,
Here.
Trustee Lang,
Here.
Yes.
Trustee Kruger,
Yes.
Present.
Trustee Rafato, President Horker.
He's
Here.
running.
Is he? There he is.
There's
Say here,
Rafato.
Trustee
Is that a
Rafato.
motion or roll call?
Say
Roll call
yes.
for the
It was
approval.
roll call.
Yeah. And he's here.
Back to the meeting at hand. No appointments, no confirmations, citizens' concerns and comments. Clerk Brady.
Yes. Members of the public may address the board with comments regarding issues relevant to the village business. No citizen shall speak more than 5 minutes without consent of the board. Members of the general public who wish to address the board must sign the request to speak form prior to the commencement of the public meeting. And Deborah Wilson.
And just as a reminder, this is a time for citizens to make their comments and express their concerns, and for the board to listen. Neither the board nor staff will be answering questions.
Hi, President Horker.
Aye.
Each of the elected officials is here to represent the people who elect them. So your role as village president, you're the chair of the meeting, but you don't when you say that we won't be answering questions, you can speak for yourself. But I just wanted to let the other trustees know that you are not bound to that suggestion. Any of you have a right under the rules of Robert's Rules of Order to summons the chairman and ask permission to ask a question to anybody at the mic or to give a response to anybody at the mic. So I think that you overstep your authority as the chair, and it could cause a social aggression, feeling like people who have been elected feel uncomfortable going against what you've said as their chairman, to maybe jump into some of the conversation elicited by people that have elected them when they come to make a public comment. So anyway, I have a suggestion for the suggestion box for Public Works. We lost water. All of our water was cut off yesterday, the whole day. Water was gone. Nobody in my cul-de-sac had water. There was, I had signed up for that reverse 911 system when I first moved here. And I think it would be a good idea to employ that because there was no communication. So everybody's out in the cul-de-sac talking what's wrong with the water. No one knew why we had no water. They weren't sure if they needed to boil it or not, because oftentimes when water is shut off, it's because there's a water main break. So I said, well, to my neighbors that were asking me questions, I said, well, why don't you go to the website? They probably have some announcement like the COVID, alert thing. There was nothing there. I checked all the emails that my family has registered with the reverse 911. There was no alert. So people were confused about why it was off. And I know that when living here most of my life, when things like this have gone on, I've often seen, just like those workhorses, like they'll set up at the end of a street with some big gigantic sign, alerting people to whatever service has been interrupted. So even if you don't have to, even if it's a weekend and you can't get the tech guy on the phone, something even, rudimentary like that. It doesn't have to be something fancy, but like where I live in Arlington Club, there's only 2 access points to that whole subdivision. So if there had just been, like either those gigantic orange, cones with a sign attached to it, or those horses that they could just put some generic sign, water, maybe interrupted today, we're working on it, just so people know that you're working on it. People were kind of getting panicky. They didn't know if they had to boil water. There's only 2 access points, so we've got the only 2 ways to get in my subdivision is Buffalo Grove Road and Dundee Road. All it would have taken is a big sign at each of those entry points, and I'm sure word would have gotten out even to the people that didn't sign up for the reverse 911. I'd also like to suggest that we employ that. That's a great piece of technology. You know, just, I mean, even for people that live on the, because I have relatives in subdivisions all over this town, even if it's, I know the man from Public Works was suggesting, well, I could look at the GIS and see who's affected. I said, you don't even need to make that much work for yourself. Just send out one to the whole village. People in this area may have their service interrupted, especially because we have a lot of elderly people where I live. And if they have, you know, young neighbors or relatives in different parts of the village, you could check, we would at least be alerted to check in on them. So I have one of my neighbors that has MS. She's in a wheelchair. You know, she can't reach her sink even to know to boil water. She has a caregiver, but they're only there on weekdays. So it was a Sunday morning. It was out most of the day. So I hope that maybe we could up the communication a little bit so people aren't wondering. Thanks. Oh, and I wanted to commend to you Ramey's, you know, that subcontractor place on Wheeling Road. I was in there today. That place is 24 years old and it looks brand new. So I'm pretty impressed that that place has put money into fresh paint and it's immaculate. And they make a very good New Yorker sandwich. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. Anyone else?
No, not today.
Staff reports. Mr. Kaup, we have an update on Wolf and Northgate?
Yes, President Horker, members of the board, all things construction. Right now with Wolf Road, we're currently in phase 3 of the construction, which happens to be the final phase of the project. This is something that we're pretty happy about considering some of the delays that we've expected or didn't expect with the ongoing strike. Work is commencing right now with the west limits of the roadway through the entire corridor, and that includes replacement of the temporary pavement on the west side with the curb and gutter. They're pouring public sidewalk on the west side of Wolf Road as well, from Dundee to Foxborough apartment complex, and they are planning to pour the curb from the west side south of Wolf Road between East Jeffrey Place and 500 South Wolf Road next week. Right now, restoration is mostly complete on the east side of the road, and if everything continues to progress, we should be completed in the month of September. They've had an issue with being able to pour some of the approaches to people's driveways as they weren't able to get aggregate for asphalt, and they've been replacing that material with concrete. So many of our residents have enjoyed receiving gratis an upgrade to their driveway aprons. As far as Northgate Parkway is concerned, IDOT has approved the FAU recommendation internally and submitted it to the Federal Highway Authority. This is what allows it to be considered a route that would then be eligible for up to 80% funding through the state and ultimately through the federal government. And so we plan to reconstruct that road in 2023. We're still waiting for the Federal Highway Authority to approve that FAU recommendation. But as far as the Northwest Municipal Conference is concerned, that is something that has progressed towards the federal level for getting that federal funding. As always, I'm more than happy to take any questions or concerns you may have about either of those projects.
Questions or comments? No? Thank you, Mr. Kaup. Mr. Ainsworth, Restaurant Row Open House.
Thank you, President Horker. This Wednesday here at the Village Board boardroom, we have the second phase of our study that's coming to an end, and we have an open house. It's open to everybody. We have the room reserved for 5 to 7 p.m. We're encouraging all residents to come on, take a look, and give us your thoughts on Restaurant Row.
Thank you, Mr. Ainsworth. We had a series of ribbon cuttings a week or so ago. There were 3 in one day at local restaurants.
Count.
There were 3 in one day. I remember that. What were the restaurants? Do you remember?
There were Mini Donut Factory had opened up during the pandemic, so we got them kind of a rain check ribbon cutting. Moe's Cafe on Elmhurst Road had theirs, and then Coba Tea Bar, located in the same shopping center as Dollar Tree, opened And, yeah, they're all doing well since the ribbon cutting.
Isn't, 83, that was, which
Oh,
one?
I'm sorry, Elmhurst Road, or Illinois 83, yes, Mo's
But
Cafe.
that's a Wheeling resident.
Yes,
chose to come
of
back to
22 years.
Yes, that was wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Ainsworth. Consent agenda, Clerk Brady.
11A, ordinance declaring
Read
as,
the title.
oops, I'm sorry,
Sorry.
jumping ahead.
It happens.
Consent agenda. All items listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the village board and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless the board member or citizen so request, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered after all other agenda items. Okay, 11A. Ordinance declaring as surplus and authorizing the disposal of personal property owned by or in the possession of the Village of Wheeling by recycling, trade-in, donations, or public auction. 11B, ordinance amending Chapter 4.32 of the Village of Wheeling's Municipal Code alcoholic liquor dealers, specifically Section 4.32.085 to increase the authorized number of Class B liquor license. 11C, resolution authorizing the village manager to execute a settlement agreement and mutual release in the amount of $250,000. 11D, resolution approving a municipal parting incentive MPI bid contract for Precision Payment Marketing, Inc. for the fiscal year 2022 payment marketing program in the amount not to exceed $28,328.52. 11E, resolution approving a contract with Midwest Brick Paving, Inc. for the 2022 brick paver maintenance project in the amount of $99,999.98 in fiscal year 2022. 11F, resolution authorizing the acceptance of a previous bid state contract with Rush Truck Center and Sourcewell contract with Lindico Equipment for the purchase of one 2.5-ton single-axle dump truck with snowplow, wing plow, and a salt spreader with electronic liquid pre-wet for a total amount of $219,859. 11G, resolution authorizing the acceptance of a Sourcewell bid contract with EJ Equipment for the purchase of one combination sewer cleaning and vacuum truck in the amount of $590,370.
$509,000. Any questions or comments? Left, right.
So moved.
There are, thank you, trustee Kruger makes a
Second.
motion. Second, trustee, who? Vogel?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Trustee Papantos,
Yes.
trustee Vito,
Yes.
trustee Lang,
Yes.
trustee Kruger,
Yes.
trustee Rufato,
Yes.
trustee Vogel,
Yes.
President Horker.
Yes. Regular business. 13.
Yeah, 13A, ordinance granting special use approval to permit the operation of a recreation and instructional facility at 284 East Palatine Road, America's Gym, docket number 2022-27.
Mr. Clicker, what do we got?
Yes, as Clerk Brady said, this is for a recreational instructional facility at 284 East Palatine Road, America's Gym. They're seeking special use for the operation of a recreation instruction facility in the I-2 and I-3 zoning districts. This would be a 24/7 operation where membership would be, part of your membership would you would get a key card access. So you can go to the gym 24/7. And this was unanimously recommended for approval at the June 22nd Plan Commission meeting.
Questions or comments? There are none.
So moved.
Trustee Lang, second.
Second.
Trustee Rufato, roll call, please.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes, congratulations, good luck.
13B, ordinance granting a variation from Title 19 zoning to permit a driveway to extend beyond the front plane of a house at 1015 Sherwood Drive, docket number 2022-26.
Mr. Clicker.
Yes, the petitioner seeks a zoning variation to permit the proposed driveway addition to extend beyond the front plane of his house without providing access to a garage, as the ordinance requires. At the June 22nd Plan Commission hearing, the commission unanimously voted to recommend approval of this.
Trustee Papantos.
Thank you. Is the petitioner here?
Yes.
Sorry. Why did this become a problem now versus it's always been that way?
Initially, when I bought the home 4 years ago, I wanted to put a garage there. It cost a little bit of money. Now my other son is getting a car, and there's nowhere to park it.
Okay, so I'm just trying to,
So I would like to put a driveway in where I could park 4 vehicles.
okay. And I noticed in the pictures, your garbage cans are kind of in the front. So please follow code to make sure that we're not looking at, there's a picture and you can see the garbage cans right from the front of the house. They were in
Yeah,
the front,
I had
but
them on
yeah,
the side of the
you need to,
garage.
yeah. The neighbors don't care?
Not at all, no. Actually, the neighbor to the right of me wanted to do the exact same thing.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Trustee Papantos. Any other questions or comments?
Make a motion.
Trustee Rufato makes the
Second.
motion. Second was that Trustee Papantos. Roll call, please.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes. Item C.
All right. Resolution awarding a Wheeling Restaurant and Retail Build-Out Assessment Grant for CESAM LLC, doing business as Westtown Bakery at 781 North Milwaukee Avenue.
Mr. Ainsworth.
Thank you, President Horker. As Clerk Brady had mentioned, this is for Westtown Bakery, taking over the former Twin Peaks, and the prior to that was Claim Jumper. It was approximately a 12,000 square foot restaurant immediately in front of the Westin. The applicant is Mr. Scott Weiner from 50/50 Group. They have approximately 15 food and beverage businesses in the city of Chicago. This will be their first location outside of the city of Chicago with their 5th Westtown Bakery. The purview of this one is just the interior grant. They're working through entitlements on something else. So again, just the item for discussion is interior improvements. And as you saw in the resolution and in the attachments, there's approximately about $780,000 worth of work being done. About $440,000 was eligible. However, there's less than 100 seats, so it's Program B. In Program B, because sometimes the size of the building may be so large, we did put an allowed exception to the rule to increase the $50,000. In this case, the applicant's requesting $100,000 due to the $800,000 investment for that specific space. So this is our first ever allowed exception applicant, and again, this is just for the purview of the grant for the interiors, nothing on the exterior, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Trustee Rufato, you had a question?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions for the petitioner, if you could come up. And this really isn't around the grant, so I wasn't here when we approved the liquor license for this use. You've got 4 sites. Is this going to be similar to one of the current sites that you have, or is it going to be something a little different? If you could expound on that.
Sure. Nice to see everyone again. So there's going to be a lot of similarities. There's going to be some differences. This location will have a wider baked goods selection than many of our other locations. We think that we're going to have a greater amount of foot traffic here as well as throughout the day. So this will be the first Westtown Bakery location that features really a very robust, kind of like Paris-style baguette sandwiches. We're also going to be doing some tableside things like banana Fosters. We're going to have an omelet station on the weekends. So there are a lot of similarities to the other Westtown bakeries, and also some things we're trying for the first time, as well as a lot of questions, because this is the first restaurant that I'm aware of in Illinois that's located in the same building as a dispensary. So we're still figuring things out as we go as well.
Great. Well, thank you. That's all. Sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Rufato. Trustee Papantos, you had a question?
Thank you. And once again, thank you for coming to Wheeling. I think it's going to be great. It's a big project. You're going to be facing some supply chain issues. Have you looked into that? And I'm going to ask the question I always ask. How long do you think before you can, with those issues, getting equipment and everything else in, obviously, is not going to be easy.
Sure. So one of my other jobs, I'm the corporate secretary for the Illinois Restaurant Association and the membership chairman for the state. And we talk to restaurateurs all over the state, and it's not very pretty. In fact,
that's my fear.
In fact, there's a place in Chicago, Bryn Mawr Country Club, which is borrowing equipment of mine because they had a grand opening. So I let them borrow bar equipment that I had sitting around so they just can get the doors open for a remodel. With that said, I took some chances and I ordered equipment back in November. I ordered an espresso machine, a $35,000 espresso machine in December, and we're going to be in good shape for everything we need. Ross has been great to work with on the building side. We hope to have our demo permits and then final permits soon. We're potentially going to start construction within the next 2 weeks, and we think we could be open here around December right now.
Fantastic.
And everything's looking okay. Now, labor might be a different story. If anyone,
There's a lot of different stories popping up all of a sudden.
yeah, but we're in construction on one other place right now at, we'll call it Sears Tower here because we're all Chicagoans or Wheelingans. And, we're dealing with that across the industry. But if you order 6 months to 9 months as opposed to the old 2 to 3 months, you're okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Trustee Papantos. Trustee Kruger, you had a question?
I do, and it's just a curiosity question. Of your other 4 Westtown bakeries, is this one going to be your largest in square footage?
Well, the footprint of the bakery in this location is going to be the largest other than the facility where we do our baking in. So the Westtown Bakery on Chicago Avenue in Westtown is 8,500 square feet. And that one, however, that similar to a lot of our places has 2 concepts. There's a rooftop called Homestead on the Roof. But this will be the largest one after that, which I believe the footprint of the bakery on the front of the house side is somewhere around 3,500. Okay, and then the back area has got a lot of space. So
Right. I just wondered if that's why, you've got some bigger space, bigger shoes to fill. Right?
we do have big shoes to fill there. Yeah, we're excited for the
Very
challenge.
good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Kruger. If there are no other questions or comments, we would be looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
I'll give the motion to Trustee Rufato, second to Trustee Papantos. Roll call, please.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
President Harker?
Yes, congratulations.
Thank you. Nice to see everyone.
Oh, wow, hold on. D, E, F, G, H, and I, so I got to read them all.
All together.
All right. Ordinance granting a rezoning from the R-4 multi-family resident district to the MXT transit-oriented mixed-use zoning district for the property located at 135 McHenry Road, docket number 2022-29A. 13E, ordinance granting special use approval to permit the operation of a new public safety facility for Fire Station 42 at 135 McHenry Road, docket 2022-29B. Or 13F, ordinance granting a variation from Title 19 zoning to reduce the minimum parking setback from 10 feet to 5 feet for Fire Station 42 at 135 McHenry Road, docket number 2022-29C. 13G, granting a variation from Title 19 zoning to reduce the minimum drive aisle width from 25 feet to 18 feet for Fire Station 42 at 135 McHenry Road, docket number 2022-29D. Ordinance granting a variation from Title 19 zoning to reduce the minimum greenbelt width from 6 feet to 5 feet on the north property line for Fire Station 42 at 135 McHenry Road, docket number 2022-29E. And 13I, granting major site plan and building appearance approval for construction of the public safety facility at 135 McHenry Road, Fire Station 42, docket 2022-29F.
This is a really cool thing. Mr. Spondilis, you want to get everybody up to speed out there?
Thank you. This is a really cool thing, and tonight is one step closer to us realizing a rebuilt Station 42. So before I hand it off to Director Clicker, who will walk us through each of the 6 various items this evening, and then, of course, bring our architect in for a conversation, I just wanted to highlight a couple of things. And the first is that this is a replacement station. This is probably more for the public than it is for the board. We currently have 3 fire stations in town. With this construction, we will still have 3 fire stations in town. We are relocating the existing Station 42, which is located in the police department right next door, to the west side of the tracks. That's what this effort is. So this is a replacement. We will continue to have only 3 stations in town. Next is the specific site, the site itself. And the site was chosen based on call volume and call location. And the determination was made that our residents are best served by having the 3rd location, so therefore 2 in total, on the west side of the tracks. That's why we're doing this. And I think that's an important distinction as to why this is happening. Specifically where this is happening, it is going to be on land that is already owned by the Village of Wheeling, located at a water tower site. And frankly, we just got lucky that we owned land in the right spot for a fire station. That, of course, saves the taxpayers about $1 million, which is the cost of similarly sized land in town. And of course, we are not removing a parcel from the tax rolls by building on land that we already owned. That said, this particular land that we already own has a number of challenges. 6 of them, in fact, which you're about to discuss and vote on this evening. And the last thing I wanted to talk about is the budget. The project, based on scope and design, remains on target at the $5 million mark. However, we, of course, are going through a local and global financial, whatever you want to call it, crisis. And inflation is really hitting all markets across the board. So the next step, assuming tonight goes positively, is for WB Olson, our contractor, to begin bidding the project, at which point they will put together a full and final packet for the board to consider as a guaranteed maximum price, we refer to as a GMP. We hope that will come to us later this summer, and that is when the project is official, when the board agrees to a final GMP for the project. So I just wanted to put that out there, that based on everything that we can control, the project does remain on budget, but we are expecting to see some impact because of inflation. So those are my introductory comments. Mr. Clicker, if you would start walking us through each of the agenda items.
Sure. As was indicated, this is land that the village owns already. It is immediately adjacent to area that is zoned MXT. Fire stations are a special use in the MXT, so we felt it appropriate to rezone the property to MXT. So that is the request, the first request for the rezoning. The second request is for the special use to operate a fire or public service building on an MXT property. So that is, again, all of these items, I should just preface by saying all of these items were unanimously recommended for approval by the Plan Commission. So the special use, the rezoning and the special use were both unanimously recommended. These setbacks the variations that are being requested are due to setbacks due to parking areas and parking areas only off the northern property line. Parking setbacks are required to be 10 feet. We're proposing, or is being proposed to be 5 feet. As you can see on the northern property line, there is an existing 6-foot high separation fence, and there will also be some robust landscaping in there. But the setback being 5 foot versus the 10, and then there is a buffer requirement usually for 6 feet, so we're proposing to reduce that also to the 5 foot. There's a driveway width aisle for the parking lot, which is being requested to be reduced down to 18. That more accurately reflects what the current condition is with the drive aisle going back to the water tower. Also, the 25-foot driveway aisle width is generally requested for fire truck circulation for when they need to arrive on site and possibly maneuver around the site. This being the fire station, the possibility of them needing to arrive at the site and circle around it are almost zero. So the need for that 25-foot has been requested to go down to 18. And then the final issue is before you is the site plan and building appearance, which for that I will hand over to Jamie from the architecture group, who is helping us with this project to guide you through the design.
Thank you. I'm Jamie Zara with 845 Design Group, and I'm the architect. Thanks for having me here tonight. So we're going to go over some of the exterior building materials and why we're requesting these variations and the hardships. And then our deputy chief here is also here for any questions related to fire and operations. So this is right now the proposed 3D elevation. This is the side that faces McHenry Rd so that you can exit out right directly and help with response times. This is our site plan. So the variations we're requesting, I wanted to explain why we're asking for them. So the first one is to reduce that green belt, which is this division between the property line and our property parking lot. We're asking for it to be 5 feet instead of 6 feet because of a lot of other items on the site. There's the water tower, there's ComEd access, there's many utilities in this area just south of the parking lot that can't be relocated based on the water tower. So it's really restricting us. The site is deceiving because it appears to be very large, but majority of this property is not buildable. So this whole area is floodplain area. And as I mentioned, there's utilities that we can't relocate. So if we did reduce or increase the green belt to the 6 feet that's required by code, we would have to reduce the aisle in the parking lot. So then we would be back asking for another variation because right now that aisle is meeting code, which is 25 feet. But if we squeeze that, then it'd be 24. So we'd have to request a variation for that. In addition to that, if we move the parking lot setback to 10 feet instead of the 5 feet, we would have to reduce that drive aisle even more. And again, we would be requesting another variation. So we'd be swapping one variation from another. And right now, this is a functional space. ComEd has access. We're continuing the access that they currently have. And there's access for Public Works or whoever needs to access the water tower here based on the site plan we're providing. In addition, this drive aisle we're requesting it to be 18 feet instead of the 25 that meets the code requirement. It currently is 18 feet, the drive aisle that ComEd accesses. And we have discussed this with them, and we've also discussed this with waste management because the trash enclosure is on the north end of the property here, so they will also be accessing it, and neither have any issues with the reduction of the drive aisle size. In addition, we wanted to lower the required drive aisle size because there's a lot of really nice trees along that property line. And if we are not allowed to do this, we would have to remove those trees, and they're a nice separation between the residences and this property. So this is our landscape plan. We're proposing a monument sign off of McHenry Road, and we're also proposing the flag poles at the entrance of the building. And this was a great request of community development because they did not want the flag poles in the area of where the monument sign was because they thought it would be too close to the residences. So this has been moved to the front of the building. There's landscaping on the front of the building and then around the generator enclosure, trash enclosure, and there are parking lot islands that will have landscaping, but based on there's a stormwater, underground stormwater below the parking lot, and we're not entirely sure based on grading of the site yet, because we have not done final grading, how much soil will be in those landscape islands, so we can't determine what the plantings will be there at this point. This is a proposed elevations, similar to 23, where we're going to do the red doors and the red, the difference here is it's going to be fiber cement siding. So there's several reasons why. As Trustee mentioned, there's a lot of supply chain issue, and the materials we used on 23 were overseas. So we're using more local materials. Fiber cement board, we're using stone. Oh, thank you. So we're using stone. On the left side is the color of the siding above the door and the doors. And then this is the stone. This here is just an example of what the siding will look like. It'll be a larger siding than what is normally residential, and it has this reveal here. So it's a little bit different, more commercialized than a standard siding. And then on the front of the building, we are doing, well, this is the front, batten board. This is an example. This is an example. And then the color is actually if we go to the entrance, just to emphasize the space, it's a different color, and also the roofing material is different. So the color would be the darker fiber cement board, this, and then the roofing would be metal, or standing seam. Everywhere else we would use asphalt shingles just to help with costs and offset it, but to emphasize the entrance, we wanted to use a different material. And then the siding, the horizontal siding would be this color. And the material that we'd be using for the trash enclosure and the generator enclosure would be a composite material, which would be this. So this would be the side of the building, the north end, that would not be really visible by anyone. This is where the generator's enclosure is located, the trash enclosure, the patio for the site. And this would be the side that faces the residents. It'd be siding and then the batten board, and there's some windows here, clear story windows to help get light into the bays, and then this is the bunk room side. So again, these are the materials that we're looking at, similar glazing to what's at Station 23, the bronze, the darker glazing. A standing seam roof would be just for that entrance area, otherwise it'd be asphalt shingles. The different siding just to give it some variation, and then that red accent with the batten board and the stone. Just some examples of what the batten board looks like, and then everyone knows what siding looks like, but there's a picture of siding. These are just the 2D elevations, very similar with the same materials, just a different look. And these are the other two elevations. This is an example of the signage. This is at Station 23, but we would be using the same backlit signage. This is in the evening hours, and then this is during the day. Just to give you an example of what the doors look like, and then that panel. Although it's not the same material, it'll have a similar visual appearance. This is the trash enclosure, which would have a 6-foot height, and the generator enclosure would have an 8-foot height. Again, it's the composite materials, and very similar to this look and these finishes. The lighting would be the up and down lighting. The larger fixtures would be at the front of the building, at the bays, and then the smaller would be by the doors. This is parking lot lighting, and then this would be the lighting for the flagpoles that's in the ground. And this is just the photometrics on the site that just shows that there's no lighting at any of the property lines. It's all zero, so there's no light pollution onto other properties. And then I'll take any questions. I think Marcy just added a couple plans in here in case we needed them. But any questions you have, I will answer.
Trustee Papantos, you had a question?
Thank you. On that particular site, and I don't know who this question should go to, it is floodplain. Do we have a water issue there?
There's a need for some compensatory storage. You'll be hearing that request at an upcoming meeting.
But our engineers are not concerned about it. Based on the floodplain elevations, the building has to be raised slightly, so that helps also. But we're not concerned about that. I'm sorry.
Will the parking lots be flooding the parking lot area?
There is an allowance of, the engineer would know better, I want to say maybe it's an inch that it can allow to sit, or do you know what it is? There's a little bit that's allowed to sit that still meets code, but we're not planning on doing anything besides what the code requirement is.
And then, did any of the neighbors have any commentary about the proximity of?
None attended the Plan Commission meeting.
Notices were sent to all neighbors. We received no negative comments whatsoever.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Papantos. Trustee Lang, and then Trustee Rufato.
Thank you. I wish we had an example of what this building would look like. No, it looks great. It's great that you were able to elongate it and all. My simple question is for staff. This is a first-time fire station that we do have very, very close to a residential area. So what kind of accommodations are going to be made for nighttime sirens or such? I hate to make it too noisy out there. I know the sirens are necessary to get into traffic and so on, but late night it can be a real issue for people trying to sleep there. So what kind of accommodations are we making for that? No, can you just come to the mic?
Yes. In regards to noise, Station 24 is right next to an apartment building, so we do have neighbors, and we've had them for about a dozen years now. Every effort will be made to minimize the use. We're looking into some flashing lights as a way to, non-audibly warn people on the road. Obviously, safety is our #1 concern, so if we need to use our lights and sirens and horns, we will. But at night, when there's no one here, we will not be turning the lights on just because, to announce our presence or to make some noise. So the firefighters, the paramedics are cognizant of that. And that, there are going to be times where we're going to need to make some noise to get out of there safely and to deal with traffic. But that's primarily happening when there's a lot of traffic out there, which is primarily during the, the rush hour, during the daylight hours.
So you have a Patrunda rule in place?
We'll say it's not in writing, but yes.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Lang. Trustee Rufato?
Thank you. Excuse me. So to the setback, the 5-foot setback, is that only on the back part of the property where the parking is?
So I don't know if can I go backwards? Is there a way? Oh, well, yeah, I think I can. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can get less viewed.
Right, yeah, this is good enough.
Okay.
Yeah, that one right there.
So right here, so it would be on that north side and then that west side. Both locations have the same situation, because if we move these forward, there's utilities here related to the water tower that can't be relocated. Okay. So our only option would be to squeeze this north and west side in and then reduce this aisle.
Okay. So it does not progress along the fence line?
No.
That all stays the same?
Yes.
Okay, so where the existing road is that where the new road is going to be, or?
Approximately. It's not exactly in the same location, but yes, it's close to that location. This obviously is not here right now, but this is intended so that fire can pull in and back in off of McHenry Road safely.
And actually, well, staying on that, I think in your landscape plan, or I read that you're taking out one of these big trees?
Yes, we have to in this area.
Okay, all right, and you're replacing it? I assume you're putting something else in there?
Yes, on the property.
Okay, so I know we have a minimum standard caliber of tree. Can we get something bigger there for that? Just to help, grow a little bit faster so we can have a buffer, because that's going to buffer, those trees in there are beautiful.
They are.
They're really
Yes,
nice.
I mean, we can definitely do that.
Okay. And then, I think you answered my question. When a fire truck comes back, it doesn't back in off of McHenry. It will come in and use that space and then back in, so we're not going to be holding up any traffic on McHenry Road, because right there, it's only 2 lane.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Okay, that's the plan. So is that what actually happens? So they're going to come in and back in? Yes. Okay. That was it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Rufato. Any questions to my left? No?
Right here, President Horker.
I'm sorry.
Quick one.
You're on my right.
Thanks. This is probably more for the public, but Manager Svandelas,
Yes.
you stated that this was a replacement firehouse for 42.
Yes.
What will happen to old 42?
Well, the existing 42 is currently part of the police station, so the police department will just take over both the bays that are currently occupied by the fire department as well as the administrative and living quarters.
Very good.
So to that point, though, I know when we talked about this, we were talking about reducing response times. Do we have statistics around that? Maybe not at this time, because I know, I believe when it was Chief McIsaac talked about our response times up McHenry Road. And it's going to reduce, that's what we're looking to do, is reduce those response times?
That's correct.
Okay,
Yes, we have all kinds of models.
great. Thank you.
I have no further questions. I think it's just wonderful that we've been planning ahead on this long enough to be able to reuse some blueprints and materials, and just smart money management that way. If there are no other questions, you want to close down, make a closing statement, Mr. Clicker, or should we just jump in?
Just jump in.
Awesome.
The water's warm.
It is warm. It's been a good night. We're going to do these one at a time. So I would like a motion to I'd like a motion for the approval of 3D, which is the rezoning from R4 to MXT.
13D.
13.
That too.
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Vogel, second Trustee Papantos. Roll call, please.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes, we now have 313E. I'll get it.
So moved.
Second. Trustee Krueger, second.
Second.
Trustee Rufato, roll call.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes. 13F, which is the parking setback, 10 to 5 feet.
So moved.
Trustee Papantos, second.
Second.
Roll, Krueger, roll call.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes. 13G, reduced minimal drive aisle width.
So
Motion.
moved.
Trustee Vogel, second.
Second.
Trustee Rufato, roll call.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes. 13H, minimum green belt width from 6 to 5 feet. Motion?
So moved.
Trustee Papantos, second. Trustee Lang?
Sure.
Roll call.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
President Horger?
Yes. 13I.
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Krueger, second Trustee Vogel. Roll call, please.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
President Horger?
Yes. We're going to build a fire station. Another one. Good luck.
Thank you.
Good work.
Yeah,
Nice
good
package.
work. Yeah. 13J.
Ordinance amending Title 11 right-of-way streets and sidewalks of the Wheeling Municipal Code.
We're updating and retitling and moving stuff around. Mr. Ferrolo, what do we got?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. President. Items 13J and K are ordinances that reflect amendments or suggested amendments to Title 11 and Title 12. This is part of our comprehensive review and amendment to the Village Code. Both of these titles have been worked through with the Public Works Department and the Legal Department pretty extensively. I'll start with Title 11, which addresses rights-of-way, streets, and sidewalks, and specifically the construction in rights-of-way, streets, and sidewalks. I'm going to hit the highlights for you as provided in the memorandum. Section 11.04.010 adds the title of Village Engineer, replacing the title of Director of Engineering in order to reflect the current village position. Related to engineering, Section 11.04.020 addresses permits for construction. This section now requires a permit for any alteration to pavement, to any pavement, private or public, which now includes sidewalks. Section .030, entitled Security Fund and Indemnification, requires an applicant doing work on public or private pavement to provide security and indemnification to the village in a manner consistent with Chapter 11.12, which addresses the construction of utility facilities in village rights-of-way. And the reason we're doing that is Section 11.12 is very specific about the types of security that can be provided by somebody working on public or private pavement, which include bonds, checks, or letters of credit. And again, it also provides a very detailed level of indemnification to the village. Section .050, entitled Repairs Required, has been amended to require that all private roadways and pavement be maintained in good repair, now under the supervision of the village engineer. That's a newly added section with more detailed construction standards as found in Section 11.12.130. These were the more specific standards that apply to construction of utility facilities in the village rights-of-way. Section .060 address defects in barricades, requires that we barricade any defective public or private pavement now with flashing barricades to advise the public of pending danger. Section .090 entitled Permit for Excavations now requires that all permits for excavations of public or private streets or sidewalks be run through and administered by the Director of Public Works. Section .95 addressing essentially restoration is a newly added section that addresses repair and restoration obligations of roadway surfaces after construction and or maintenance work, and this also adds under the direction of the village engineer. Section .100, which is entitled Driveways, Sidewalks, and Patios, has been amended to include instructions for obtaining a driveway, sidewalk, and or patio permit. This section also defines the term driveway apron in the situation of the existence of a sidewalk and without a sidewalk. So it's real clear what section is the driveway apron to be maintained by a homeowner. Section .040, entitled Specifications, has been amended to include the more detailed construction standards, again found in Section 11.12.130. Section 11.12.130 entitled General Construction Standards adds additional specifications for the construction of utility facilities in the public right-of-way. As you might recall, in years past, there was the AT&T Project Lightspeed project with the large junction boxes that everybody was concerned about. These standards address when these types of facilities are going to be built in the public right-of-way. And finally, Section 11.20.010 entitled Service Connections Under Streets provides that any individual or entity making service connections under the village right-of-way is bound by the permitting, security, indemnification, and restoration requirements addressed in these other sections. Those are the highlights of the amendments to Title 11. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Looking to my left, looking to my right. Nobody seems unduly concerned or even minorly concerned. Trustee Lang, did you want to move to approve?
I want to so move that.
Trustee Lang moves to approve. Second by Trustee Vogel. Roll call, please.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes.
13K, ordinance amending Title 12, Trees and Vegetation of the Wheeling Municipal Code.
Thank you,
Mr. Furlow,
Clerk
yes.
Brady. Thank you, President Horker. This next ordinance addresses amendments that are proposed to Title 12, which addresses trees and vegetation of the Wheeling Municipal Code. There are a little more detailed changes to Title 12 than there were to Title 11. I will go through these. I will not try to pronounce the many tree species that Mr. Kaup has memorized. We'll cover these, and we'll attempt to answer any questions, and Dan can assist as well. So the proposed amendments that we're bringing to you start with Section 12.08.010. The term forestry superintendent has been changed simply to forester, and this is to create a more expansive definition of that position, which now includes a foreman or other qualified forestry professionals authorized by the director. It's not so restrictive as the prior definition was. Section 12.08.020 entitled Forestry Duties and Responsibilities of the Director of Public Works provides that the director of the department now has the sole responsibility to develop and administer a written plan for the care, planting, pruning, and removal of trees and shrubs within the parkways and in other public areas. Section .030 addresses the planting of vegetation or trees on public property by private individuals. And now the language specifically provides that it shall be unlawful to plant any tree or shrub on public property without a permit. As stated earlier, that permit will be administered by the Director of Public Works relative to the granting or denial of such a permit. Section .040 provides for the tree selection and planting requirements related to planting in public rights-of-way. There's a long list of the types of species that would be allowed. Additionally, trees must meet specific requirements, including location, healthy physical appearance, and trunk limb measurements. We have a list of permitted trees as stated, and any trees not included on the list may be approved at the discretion of the Director of Public Works. Nuisance trees are prohibited and are defined. 2 planting seasons have been established in the ordinance, September 1st through November 30th, and April 1st through June 30th. And applicants are responsible for any damages caused to utilities. Additionally, trees may only be planted in accordance with the measurement and location specifications now provided. Section .060, which is entitled Tree Topping, provides more specific restrictions relating to the prohibition of tree topping, again administered or watched by the Department of Public Works. Section .70, entitled Pruning, Corner, and Clearance, provides that tree owners must prune branches that come from private trees on private property that overhang public property and constitute a menace to the safety of the public. Further, it provides that the village has the right to prune any trees on private property that obstructs streetlights, traffic control, or sidewalks or streets at the property owner's expense. The expense will constitute a lien on the private property if the village is forced to take such actions. There are two other sections, section .080 entitled Dead or Diseased Tree Removal, and section .090 entitled Tree Preservation and Enhancement. These sections were not changed, but they were reorganized in a better fashion, we believe, to make them more easy to follow and comply with for the public. And finally, the last section I want to address is section .120 entitled Excavations. This provides that anyone making excavations in streets or public places which may injure the roots of any public tree must notify the director. The change there, the significant change there, is that the word public was added in front of tree. Those are the main changes to Title 12. Dan, anything you wanted to touch on?
No, I think you've covered all the highlights. A lot of the language that was included here reflect the practices that we try to ascribe to as far as protecting the tree, the urban forest, and a lot of these changes are just to make it more succinct and understandable.
Questions or Trustee Rufato?
Yeah, so back to public planting on a resident planting in a public area. Is that, I know it says that you need a permit, but is it specifically stated that a resident can plant a tree in the parkway?
No, it's not. This is putting together a specific mechanism to allow a resident to plant on a parkway. This addresses two concerns the Public Works Department, the village has, with the public planting on the parkway. Historically, especially in Wheeling, many homeowners had planted silver maples back in the 50s and the 60s that now grace a lot of the parkways off of Schoenbeck and in your neighborhood as well. The concern is it's not a particularly desirable tree. They often have numerous leads, and the wood becomes brittle as the tree ages, which can lead to storm damage. While the village is happy to have the public want to participate in growing our urban forest, we want to make sure that the species is appropriate, and so really this is for the purpose of review. Also, sometimes residents would like a tree in their parkway, maybe one was removed, and the current replacement schedule may not allow for the immediate replacement. They might have to wait a year, and of their own volition they say, hey, can I plant a tree? We want to make sure that they have the opportunity to do so, but again, with the discretion of the village forester, our arborist, to ensure that the tree is planted in a healthy way, that it's a desirable tree species, and that the tree can be cared for appropriately.
And then, thank you for that. And then the last question, you talk about we as a village removing a tree on private property if it's dead or causing an issue with walking or something like that. So is a permit required to take down a tree on private property?
By who? By the village?
By the village.
So that's a process, and that language hasn't changed. That language has always been there, and the process there is due process, where you have to provide notice that you believe, we have noticed that it appears a tree is dead, and providing a safety issue.
Right.
And give the homeowner 30 days
Right.
to remove it. If they don't remove it, based on the public health and safety issue, the village has the right to go in and abate that nuisance without a permit. The village has the right to do it, provided notice has been given that is going to be the action that is
Okay,
taken.
but taking it to another step,
Yeah.
if I as a resident have a dead tree and want to remove it, is a permit required for that?
Oh, they don't care.
No, if you have a tree in your backyard, I think that, so the question you're asking is if there's a tree in your backyard and you want to remove it,
Right.
you do not have to have a permit for that. If it's within 25 feet of a lot line, or I'm sorry, of the
a
right-of-way, then you do, or if it's a commercial or industrial property tree, then you
So if
do.
I have one in my front yard and it's 25 feet to the street, I would need a permit to remove it.
25 feet or less, yes. But if you have a tree in your backyard that you're looking to remove, the language that we were looking at in the update has more to do with identification of a dead or diseased tree.
Right, yes.
Yes.
I just wanted to answer that one, too. Thank you.
Trustee Krueger, no?
Yes, I have a question. A lot of the changes in this title refer to parkway and public space. I'm going to bring up the obvious about involuntarily annexed parts of the community that do not have parkways or sidewalks, but some have utility easements. Some, like myself, do not have a utility easement. I have cattails growing in my ditch. Is it my ditch or your ditch? I do take care of them and keep it weeded and, and
For sure.
pleasant looking, but I'm just wondering, what about trees, certainly mature trees in these previously annexed areas?
The parkway is, when we talk about a public tree, it's the right-of-way tree. So in your instance, while you don't have a parkway per se, because you don't have a sidewalk that is the far
Delineation
externality,
between-
yes, of what would otherwise be considered the right-of-way. A right-of-way tree is a public tree. If it's on a utility easement, it's not. The utility easement is use of otherwise owned property for the purpose specifically of that utility, and then access for the purpose of maintaining or interfacing with that utility. The public urban forest is those trees that exist on public properties. So it's the right-of-way, it can be a park or our property, the village's own property. Those are the trees that are referred to as publicly owned.
So virtually not affecting my neighborhood or any of the other previously annexed areas that don't have public right-of-way.
You have public right-of-way, but you have a ditch and culvert which takes up most of the right-of-way, and so therefore there isn't the opportunity for trees to have been planted in the right-of-way.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Krueger. Nothing to my left. Trustee Vogel. If there are no more questions or comments, we would.
Moved.
Second.
Trustee Lang, was that? Yep. Second, Trustee Krueger. Roll call, please.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes. Thank you guys for the work on all that. We're working through the whole code book, right?
We are.
Impressive. That's a thick book. I've got one.
Only 2,000 more pages left.
Big book.
It's a great reading.
Big book.
It's a great read.
Official communications, Trustee Krueger, you eager
Yes,
over there?
I do. I have two things. First, Director Clicker, I would like to thank you and your team for the collaborative efforts to make a simple question that I had back in October about the ownership of a duplicative and dilapidated chain link fence along Hintz Road, just south of Wheeling High School. I really think that you and your team deserve the best kudos because, and all the residents on Blaze Trail deserve thanks as well for working so well with your team and so quickly to remove that chain link fence, and it looks remarkably different.
It does.
Along there. And I just want to make sure that you get that thank you from me personally, and perhaps anyone else who drives by there will see it and go, what?
Yeah, well, I'd love to take the credit for it, but it's David Key, our municipal inspector, really took the lead on that. He did a fantastic job. He working collaboratively with the residents. They deserve a lot of the credit in this as well. But also David really extended it, went up above and beyond and worked with Cook County Highway Department and got them involved through getting some tree removal that had actually grown up in between the fences and raised sidewalk sections. The county came out and agreed to take those trees down to assist the residents. Public Works then assisted in replacing the sidewalk sections that were damaged with that removal. So it was just an all-around collaborative effort. And the most amazing thing that we've talked about is it looks so drastically different. There's only 3 fences that are different than what they were there before.
Right.
Removing those chain link fences, getting rid of the scrub trees that were growing in between has dramatically changed the appearance.
Didn't even know that some of those were so new, and it's improved that value that, it just looks so good.
Yeah.
Thank you again. I have one more item. Thank you to C-Shift of Fire Station 23 for their hospitality during my recent ride-along with them on July 6th. It was great to finally go on actual calls, because typically I've gone there for a ride-along and nobody calls and there's nothing going on in town, and I couldn't go on a ride anywhere. Anyway, it was great to be on with them, riding the engine, and see them in action doing what they do best. So thank you again for that, and I encourage my colleagues to, take a ride with our public safety people, especially during this time of year and when it's warmer, and see what they do. It's really very eye-opening, and it was educational. So thank you very much. Guys were great.
Thank you,
That's all
Trustee.
I had. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Kruger. Trustee Papantos, you had a...
Thank you. Director Kaup, I didn't get a chance to talk to you. The Wolf Road project really is going great, and I realize it's a state project, but having driven up and down that road for, well, driving, 50-some years, it's amazing. The driveways look great. I mean, you're right, the residents have really benefited, at least the south side residents south of Dundee. That looks great. And the intersection at Manchester and Wolf, and the way the sidewalk was resituated as a safety concern, it's fantastic. You used to pull up on Manchester and you couldn't really see somebody coming up on that sidewalk, and bike riders could zoom across, and if you weren't stopping at the sign and then inching up, it was a problem. Now it's clear. I mean, it really is nice. So hopefully once the road is ours, we can maybe put a crosswalk on there. When the state doesn't have it to get to the park, at a safer area. But thank you for all the work that I know Public Works has been doing to get this project done, and kind of working with the neighbors along the way that, I'm sure they haven't always been happy about the fact that they've lost their driveway and are parking on the street, but it really, really does look nice, so thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Papantos. Any other questions or comments? If there are none, we do have some bills to pay for June 16th till July 13th, 2022. I need a motion for their approval.
So moved.
Motion to Trustee Papantos, second to Trustee Rufato. Roll call, please.
Trustee Vogel.
I thought I saw you do.
No,
Were you
I
just
threw my voice over that way. It was Trustee Vogel.
Thanks, Jim.
We do that down this end.
Trustee Vogel gets the second.
Trustee
His
Papantos?
mouth was
Yes.
moving.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes. We do have an executive session this evening for the purpose of the purchase or lease of real property for the use of the public body. So I will need a motion to recess into executive session and adjourn the regular meeting.
So moved.
Motion, Trustee Kruger. Second,
Second.
Trustee Papantos. Nobody wants to second? No. Roll call, please.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes, it is 8:01. I would like to reconvene back in here at 8:10. Recess. Yes.